Hi YouTube, it's Alejandro and I have a new deck profile video. This one's over Dragon Zwei. So yeah, this deck is built on the Golden Buddy deck Triple D box set, which has the Azidahaka Buddy Rare and the Dragon Zwei flag with Kyoya on it. And it's also been recently upgraded with support based off the recent set Solar Strife. I did 2 box openings over it, so check both of those videos out if you're interested or haven't seen them already. But yeah. I'd like to quickly note that this deck does not include 1, the Kawaiicorngaming card, since I don't have it. It's only a double rare, but I don't even have it. And 2, Dragon Dry. So yeah, unfortunately this is not a build with Dragon Dry, because it's really hard and expensive to get. So it doesn't even matter that I don't have the Kyoya, since I couldn't play without Dry anyway. But yeah, this is a pretty decent deck anyway. It's a, I guess, cheaper build. Still fairly competitive, so it's pretty good for this current format, at least until the next box set comes out. But in the meantime, yeah, it's still pretty good. So starting with the flag, it's Dragon Zwei. Let's use Dragon attribute monsters from any world and start with 20 life. Downside is you have to start with only 4 hand cards, and even though you can use any monster from any world, as long as they're dragons, you can only use monsters, so this is an all-monster deck. And as for the buddy, it's Destruction Deity of the Old World Azidahaka. Size 3 with 10k power and defense, critical of 2. Can only color your flag as Dragon Zwei, easy condition. Pay 3 gauge and basically sacrifice a card from your field. When it enters the field, destroy a monster on your opponent's field, so instant destruction. And when this card attacks, you have 6 or more different worlds of card names on your drop zone. For this turn, it gets triple attack. So I'm running up to 9 different worlds in this deck, so meeting that condition isn't really hard. It's also got a lifelink of 2. So yeah, moving on to the deck. First, I play 4 copies of the Buddy, the Earner of Extinction Azidahaka, Deity of the Old, Destruction Deity of the Old World, yeah. So yeah, play 4 copies of that, already went over it. Next, I play more copies of Azidahaka. I have 1 copy of Black Sky Sun Dragon Azidahaka Daeva, 10/10/3 critical, size 3 as well, can only be called if it's Zwei. It's put 2 monsters from your field into the drop zone and pay 3 gauge, so an extra monster. When this card attacks, you may pay a life. If you do, stand it when it attacks a monster. So yeah, you basically can keep attacking over and over and wipe out all the monsters on your opponent's field. And if you start this card early game, you can keep spamming that ability with all the life you got. If it's destroyed, put up to 1 card from your deck into your hand, then shuffle, and you take 2 damage. 2 damage isn't bad, and the search ability for any card, because there's no specifications, is also a really good ability. And no lifelink. Then there's the 1 copy of Great Demonic End Dragon Azidahaka, the OG Azidahaka for Zwei. 10/10/2, size 3, only playable in Zwei. Put a card from your field into the drop zone and pay 3 gauge. Now this card has a defensive ability. If it would leave the field, discard 2 cards and remains on the field, so it makes it a bit harder to destroy. Now, the hand cost is a bit tricky to play with, since you start with only 4 hand cards, but the way I made this deck, it helps to increase consistency in the hand, so it shouldn't be too hard. And it has a counter ability. If you have 10 life or less, stand this card. Combine that with its triple attack, you can with its double attack, you basically have 3 attacks. Or it can also be useful as a counter if this card gets rested. Also has lifelink 3, so it's a bit pricey with the lifelink, but it's not too bad, especially if it protects itself. Next, size 3 monster, we play 2 copies of Transcend Dragon Emperor Iwakite, I think. 8,000 power, 6,000 defense, 2 critical. Size 3. It's a dual world, Star During World, and Ancient World. Its ability is put the top card of your deck into the soul and pay 2 gauge. Act, pay 2 life, put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone and call it to 1 monster from among them by paying the cost. And that card would become a size 0 until it leaves the field, plus it's got Soul Guard. So this card's really good, because not only could you have this card, which is a decent, strong size 3 monster, but if you can also call an Azidahaka, for example, as a size 0, then you would basically have 2 strong size 3 monsters on the field together. So yeah, that's really good. So you play this card so you can basically call whatever you want and still have space for it, despite the size conditions. And for our last size 3, I played 3 copies of a new card, Scrap of Malice, Angra Mainyu Element. It has 7,000 power, 5,000 defense, but 0 critical. Gonna get over that in a second. Cost, put the top card from your drop zone into the card's soul and pay a gauge. If you have another originally size 3 or greater monster in your field, this card in this field is size reduced by 3. So essentially, this card becomes a size 0, and with 7k attack, that's pretty good. If it attacks, stand an evil deity dragon or a deity on your field. It can only activate once per turn. Has both move and soul guard. Now, the reason why that's so good is with Azidahaka. So yeah, this card's meant for evil deities or for Zwei, because if you'll notice, all the Azidahakas count as deities. So even though this card itself has 0 critical, you can use its ability to basically give Azidahaka an extra attack. So yeah, having a triple attacking Azidahaka with a 4th attack from this guy is pretty devastating. Run that at 3 copies. Now moving on to the size 2s, I play 1 copy of Spawn of the Demonic Dragon Horrid. 5k attack, 4k defense, 2 critical. Only playable in Zwei. When it enters the field, pay 2 life and search up to 1 Sky Dragon Black Sky Sun Dragon Azidahaka Daiva. Add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Put it into the field into the drop, so pay a gauge, choose a monster, and give it plus 2,000 attack and defense. Mainly playing it for the first ability. Basically, it's, even though I only have 1 Black Sun Azidahaka, playing this card as a searcher basically is like having 2 of it in the deck, so it helps out for consistency on that. Next, for variety, I have 2 Retainer of Demonic Dragon Zernatra. 6,000 power, 4k defense, 2 critical. Pay life, and he gets double attack and Zwei. So yeah, you're playing for the world counts and double attack. Next, for a good all-rounder, we have Retainer of Demonic Dragon Sinblade Dragon. Playable at 2 copies. 5k attack, defense, and 3 critical. So like I say, he's pretty much an all-rounder in all stats. It's 1 gauge for the cost, and if like a Zwei, he gets a soul card, so put the top card of the deck into the soul. Plus, when he gets attacked, you can also nullify Penetrate if he's in the center, so it's a good defensive play card. Next, a similar card to the other searcher, we play 4 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon Arhat Narhat. Size 2, 4k attack, defense, and 2 critical. Stats are irrelevant. You may call this card if your flag is Zwei. When enters field, pay 2 gauge and search 1 destruction deity of the old world Azidahaka. When it's put into drop, so pay 2 gauge, and if you do, destroy a size 2 or less monster in your opponent's field. So yeah, this card is also a searcher for the Buddy Azidahaka of the deck. Also adds to the world count by being a magic world card. So yeah, it basically adds more support and search to the Azidahaka engine. So it's pretty good for that. Next, we play 2 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon Anist. Size 2 with 4k attack and defense and 2 critical. Cost is pay 1 gauge. When enters the field, if there are no other monsters on your field, you may call size 1 or less monster with wizard or dragon, and its card attribute from the drop zone by paying its call cost. So by playing this guy, if your field is empty, you can instantly start to fill it up slowly by calling this guy first and call another monster. So for the world count and for its recyclability. Next, Retainer of Demonic Dragon Fallen Wing Dragon. 2 copies. 4k attack, 3k defense, 2 critical. Pay a gauge and put the top card of the deck into the soul. If you have 3 or less non-monster cards from your drop zone, this card gets plus 2k of power and defense and move. And since all cards in this deck are monsters, the ability will be in effect all the time, so he'll always have 6k attack and 5k defense with 2 critical, plus he's got soul guard and move. And when this card is put into the drop zone, you also gain 1 life, so yeah, also helps restore life. Now moving on to some more of the new cards, we play, for the last size 2, we play 4 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon Fielder. 5k attack and defense, and a critical of 2. When this card enters the field, put the top card of the deck into the drop zone. If it's a monster with Dragon attribute, put it into your hand. If not, gain a life. Has lifelink 1 as well. So basically what this card does is it lets you get a free draw, since every card is a dragon. Now onto the size 1s. Play 2 copies of Spawn of the Demonic Dragon Booze. It's a pretty weak card, size 1, 2k attack and defense, and 2 critical. But it has a decent ability, Negative Thoughts. When this card is put from the field into the drop zone, put the top card of the deck into your gauge. Then if you have 3 or more different worlds in your drop zone, draw a card. So yeah, it helps for Gauge Excel, and extra draw power is also good, running at 2 copies. Now for Danger, where we play 4 copies of this guy, Retainer of Demonic Dragon Bloodion. 3k attack, 2k defense, 2 critical. When this card enters the field, put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone. Put any number of monsters from among them into your gauge. So basically in this deck, when you call this guy, he always guarantees you 3 gauge. So yeah, really good for Gauge Excel. Basically an instant Azidahaka. Then, for Katana World, we play 2 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon Resurrection Dragon Bones. Size 1, 3k attack, 1k defense, 2 critical. When enters the field, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your drop zone. Really meant more for Skull Warriors, if anything, but that's ability is irrelevant. Act, pay a gauge. If you do, put a size 3 monster from your drop zone hand. So yeah, you basically play this guy for the extra world count and for his recycling ability, which can come in handy. Next, play 4 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon Gyodol. Size 1, 2k attack, 2 critical, and 1000 defense. When this card is put into your drop zone from your field or hand, for example with the first or with the OG Azidahaka, you can discard them for the cost of protection. Put the top 2 cards of your deck into your gauge and put the top card of your deck into your... Okay, put the top 2 cards of your deck in your gauge and put the top card of your... Put the top 2 cards of your deck into your drop zone and put the top card of your deck into your gauge. So yeah, it helps with the extra gauge. Now for the last size 1 monster, we play 3 cards of a hand trap, basically. Retainer of Demonic Dragon, Devil Orb Dragon, 3k power and defense and a critical of 1. Has a counter ability, may discard if you do. Your flag is Zwei, the next time you would be dealt damage. This turn it's reduced by 3. So yeah, this card is, I feel, more consistent than an attack negator because its effect negation can be really good for lots of things, like your own lifelink, penetrate, other stuff. So yeah, I find this ability to be pretty good, more consistent for defense. Now onto the size 0s. We have 1 copy of Apprentice Underling Comb. 0, 3k power, 1k defense, and 1 critical. Ability to Perfect Chief. This card enters the field, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and put up to 1 Dragon Chief Emperor or size 3 monster from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your drop zone. Lifelink 1. So it allows you basically to search the top cards of your deck for whatever size 3 you need. I guess it's kind of like another searcher for Ozzy. Then, for 2 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon, Arakaz. 3k power, 1 critical, 1k defense. Monsters with Azidahaka in the name get critical +1. So he helps with the world count and also increases Ozzy's critical. And last but not least, the most important card, the MVP of the deck, which got recently reprinted as a common, 4 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon Destructor. Has a decent 2k attack, 1k defense, 1k power, but what's really important is its ability. Finalize it. When it enters the field during your turn, if your flag is Zwei, pay 2 life, draw 2 cards. So yeah, this is the most important draw engine in the deck. You can't really play Zwei without Destructor. So yeah, getting it a reprint was really amazing, and I'm glad I got it up to 4 of them. So yeah, basically, even though it is a bit pricey to life, it's not a big deal since you have so much life in this deck anyway, and you really need more hand cards than you do the life. So yeah, this card is really great. So yeah, I think overall the consistency of this deck with all the worlds and the different abilities, combining older and new cards, I think it's pretty good. Despite not having Dragon Dry, but yeah, got a good variety. And yeah, it should be pretty good for like the current meta, I think. I mean, at least do decently. But yeah, this has been my Dragon Zwei deck using support from the latest set, Solar Strife. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Check out my other deck profiles. Check out the box opening videos for Solar Strife if you haven't seen those already. Hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and yeah, I'm planning on doing some openings for the new trial decks for Buddyfight Ace, and I have a special box opening planned later once I buy it off Amazon. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Keep liking, make the channel grow, and thank you for watching. Peace.